And that leads us swiftly into the last presentation, not just of today, but the conference. And we're very pleased, I'm very pleased, and we are very pleased to welcome Jana Vořechovská from Google. She studied, as far as I could find out, languages and cultural aspects of our language in the Czech Republic, and worked for Deloitte. I'm not sure how that fitted in, but as a translator. As a translator, okay. So Deloitte does translations, and has joined Google a few years ago, and will talk to us today about the localization of Google+. So I'm sure you're looking forward to this presentation as curiously as I am. And please welcome Jana to the conference.
Thank you, Reinhard. Thank you, and hello everyone, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So I'm conscious that many of you probably are thinking of now going home, or maybe after that to a pub. So I promise I won't keep you long, but nevertheless, I'd like to share some experience from doing localization at Google. So just a very quick look at the agenda. I'll talk about why and how we localize. Then I'll talk about some of the challenges with localizing our social product Google+. And then go a little bit beyond that, talk about some of the initiatives and projects that I think are of particular relevance to the social localization topic of this conference. And then the technology works. I think it will. I'll show you a demo. It's quite a cool, very new feature of YouTube and Google Translator Toolkit integration. So you'll be one of the first people really to see it because it's very new. So many of you probably know that this is Google's mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And this obviously doesn't apply only to information in English, but lots of other languages as well. And also in the founder's letter, it says that Google aspires to be an organization that makes the world a better place. So I think I could be actually talking about a lot of different projects, but I'll just give you a sample of some that are relevant to localization. So why do we actually localize? So we know that actually most of our users are coming from outside of the US, and that their primary languages are other than English. I think in 2009 it was 77% of users. And if you look at the graph here, you see three kind of major landmarks in our short localization history. So the first one is the launch of Google in Your Language program that we actually touched on yesterday. It really was the sort of first platform where volunteers could translate Google services, and that was in 2001. In 2007, we launched a new initiative, and it really was a kind of request from our then CEO, Eric Schmidt. As you can see, it was a request to localize our services into 40 languages, and then to sort of simultaneously ship them within 2 months of the first shipment. So actually at the beginning of that year, 2007, there were maybe just 5 services that were localized into 30 languages or so, but 3 quarters later we had over 30 products localized into almost 40 languages. And nowadays it's more than 100 products that are localized into 40 usually into 40 languages directly, but in some cases also 60 languages. For example, Google+ that I'll be talking about, but also YouTube and other Gmail and Google search even into more languages, more than 100 I think. So Actually, why, you may ask, why 40 languages? So at that time, those 40 languages that were selected, they actually covered, I think, 99.6% of the world internet population. But obviously the world is changing, and so by 2011 those 40 languages were covering only maybe 90% of the world's internet population. So we launched a new initiative called 60 is the new 40, where we added excuse me, we added 20 more additional languages, and so with those we are now covering again something like 96% of the world's internet population. Obviously that's only, I'm talking only about internet population. That obviously means I'm leaving still a lot of people out, but I'll talk about some of the initiatives that we do for the languages outside of these Google 60. So you can see, to sum up, that localization is really kind of an engine of growth for our company. Now, how we localize. So this basically just shows that we, depending on the situation, we use different types of models. We would quite frequently use the traditional vendor model that you probably all are familiar with. But we have been also piloting for a while a model where we can work a little bit more directly with freelancers, with paid freelancers, just so that we know a bit more about them, their profile, their specialization, etc. So that's another model we've been kind of playing with. And also the Google in Your Language program has evolved into sort of local community translation model that we use for especially the languages outside of Google 60 initiative. And that's basically in Africa we would, for example, work with universities. We would get together, provide them with a lab, or work with a university who would provide a computer lab. We would provide refreshments, some basic training tools like Google Translator Toolkit, and maybe invite a linguistic expert to work on terminology, define basic terms and concepts, and find suitable terms for those. And these students would then, for free, it would be a volunteer job, a volunteer activity, they would translate Google products. And those most successful ones could then be, for example, moved to the paid model, and so on. And also feedback, we were talking about it yesterday at our working group, is very important for us. So obviously we track the typical sort of linguistic data and the errors, etc. But we are also always looking for internal as well as external user feedback. And we've got several projects going on. Internally, we organize, for example, within the company with Googlers, various events. They give us feedback about localization of our products. But also externally, we would often, for example, organize various events with the marketing team, where people are invited, bloggers, other influencers, and we would, for example, run a survey just to kind of get the idea of what they think about the quality of our localization, again from the user perspective. And last but not least, it's not really mentioned here, but Google also has internal language specialists for certain languages, like, for example, I am a language specialist for Czech, and those are really responsible for the quality of all Google products, and they really sort of shape the voice of Google for that particular language. And they are also very much involved and again organize various events for translators and reviewers. For example, when there is a major revamp or update of a style guide, I would, for example, kind of get them all together. We would organize a training to make sure that everybody is on the same page, they know each other, there's no rivalry between translators and reviewers, etc. So we definitely, irrespective of the model, really try to encourage the collaborative approach, which is sort of another part of the social work, social activities here. So now maybe just, and the Google language specialists were also a lot involved with Google Plus, localization of Google Plus. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. It was quite a challenging project because, as you know, so Google Plus is Google's social sort of media platform, and like I said, our strategy is to SimShip, basically launch at the same time English as well as additional languages and iterate that as often as possible. And with Google Plus, we actually managed to do this for the first time. We basically launched English and additional 40 languages at the same time. In order to do this, we had to rethink our localization process, and we had to innovate quite a lot. From the process point of view, we basically introduced something which we can call continuous localization. That basically means that from the translator point of view, you as a translator receive constantly small or larger translation requests. It can be 5 words, 50 words, 500 words. It is quite unpredictable, really, and you have to be ready to turn that around quite quickly, very often within 24 hours. So that's a definite challenge for translators. At that point, when we were localizing Google Plus, we also needed to we needed the translators to use different tool, that a CAT tool that they were used to, Translator Toolkit, and so we could see a certain resistance to a change, which I think is kind of inherent to human beings. Probably, obviously, they got used to it as well, but that was another challenge for them, additional challenge. And also, yesterday we were talking about that. Basically, plurals in Arabic are the hardest thing in localization. So our engineers were also trying to sort of innovate that, make sure that plurals and also gender is a little bit more natural in Google Plus, so that females, for example, can be addressed and referred to a little bit more naturally in Google Plus in various languages. You know, with the proper endings and proper pronouns, etc. So the translators had to deal with quite a lot of new type of strings that were very complex. Those of you who use Google Plus probably know what these icons mean. So the first one stands for Hangouts, which basically is the Google sort of Google Plus video chat. Where you can chat face-to-face with up to, I think, 10 people. And the other one, those are circles. You can organize your friends into circles and then share only the relevant information with the relevant groups. But when we were localizing Google Plus, everything about it was confidential, obviously, and Google Plus didn't even have its name. It wasn't called Google Plus at that time. So the concept of a hangout or circles was completely unknown to us internally, let alone to external translators. So obviously they didn't have much context. They didn't have any context. The product didn't exist at the time they were translating it. So also the terminology was constantly changing overnight. So it was very challenging. But in the end we managed. And we launched Google Plus in English and 40 languages at the same time. This is just an exception that it was received very well in the Arab world, the fact that it launched at the same time, because like we were talking yesterday, usually the BiDi languages are added much later because of various internationalization and other issues, but this time Arabic launched at the same time as English, and our language specialist, Arabic language specialist, Fayek, also says that he's seeing that Google Plus is gaining on popularity, so that's good news. This is in South Africa. So basically what happened there, Google Plus in Afrikaans, and some. I know that Google partnered there with a very popular weekly magazine, and they basically, again, I think it was during a music and arts festival, and what they managed was to kind of create sustainable Afrikaans-speaking community on Google Plus. So some of the good results were that, for example, the followers of this magazine increased, I think, to 2,000 from maybe 30 or a very small number. Some Afrikaans artists, about 65 or so, created their Google Plus pages, and also about 800 Afrikaans users signed up for Google Plus and used it in the Afrikaans UI, so that more content can be generated in that language. But it's not just Google Plus, really. I'd like to now maybe talk about some other initiatives that Google is doing and that are of particular relevance to the topic of social localization. So again, this is actually our Arabic language specialist Fayek, who is attending a G-Day, Google Day. Those are events that are organized all over the world, and Google engineers or Google linguists or other product specialists attend them and basically raise awareness about Google products, about the fact that you can create more content, local content, thanks to using them. This is another example of a great event. Basically, we've organized, I think, 4 Wikipedia challenges like this one in Africa. The first one was in Swahili, but this is an example of a Setswana Wikipedia challenge, which is again an activity that should help generate local content in Setswana, which is a language spoken by about 4 million people in Botswana and South Africa. And usually we provide Translator Toolkit, some refreshments and training together with Wikipedia, and then the most prolific users get and translators get recognized. So that's one example of that. Another one is similar one, again, with maybe even bigger social impact. Volunteers of translated Wikipedia articles about health into Arabic, Hindi and Swahili, because a lot of people still cannot reach very quality health information in their languages, so we help to translate these. And this is a last example of an initiative that Google sort of worked on with other linguistic language organizations. This June we launched the Endangered Languages project. We are also helping to localize it, and it's basically supposed to be an archive of languages that are threatened. And it's interactive. You can go in, you can listen to languages that you probably have never heard of. You can also suggest that other languages can be added, or you can comment on them, and so on. Google oversaw the initiation of the project, and we are now handing it over to the hands of linguistic experts, basically. So now I wanted to just show you a demo. It's basically an integration of YouTube and Google Translator Toolkit, and it's a very, very new thing. So you probably, I just have this video with Barack Obama. I hope you don't mind, but basically it's I'll show in a minute, but you probably all know that you can upload a video to YouTube. You can also upload the captions for that video to YouTube, and what happens now is there's this new feature. You can click a button and it'll take you to Translator Toolkit, and you can translate subtitles into any language you like. I'll show you how it works, because the great thing about it is that you actually have lots of context, which is something that we have talked again over and over also last time. So you can basically click on the video, and you can see. And you can start translating. So I have to. Sorry, I'll just. This doesn't have check, so but I can just, as you can see, I'm typing, and you can directly see what I'm typing, and when I click here, again, continues, I can see translation in context. So, yeah.
From 2012.
So again, you can see basically that you can translate and see the context directly. So I think that's great for translators. I like that feature very much, so I wanted to share it with you. And yes, that's basically it. From me, so thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Jana. There's a question here. I'm sure there's maybe more.
Thank you, Jana. I have a question. You mentioned that you follow a constant localization workflow, and that means that you have your translation vendors full-time dedicated to you, available to you every day for a couple of hours, maybe. Do you see that as a long-term solution?
Interesting question. I don't know what you mean long-term solution, but how long is long-term? But so far it's been working. So as long as it works, yes, I hope so.
Yeah, I like that answer about how long is long term. So there's no long term really.
And when it doesn't work anymore, we'll have to come up with something new.
Any more questions? You're not exhausted, no? Yes.
I am.
Oh, you work for Google.
It isn't a localization question. One of my housemates signed up for Google Plus, but she deleted her account because it's public. So if you Googled her name, Google Plus comes up. I don't know, has that been changed since it was launched? That you can make your account only private to the people within your circles? Or maybe she took it up wrong when she
I think you can, if you don't want to be on Google Plus, you can definitely delete your account. You don't have to be on Google Plus. You can delete it and it will disappear.
She wanted to be on Google Plus.
Oh, she wanted to.
But to be private, so that only her members could see it. That when you type her name into Google, it doesn't show up as her.
You can definitely set that.
Okay.
You can set it up. Yeah.
Okay.
You ask her to read the manual.
There's no manual, but.
Sorry, that was a stupid joke.
I know. There was one more question here, I think.
Maybe I could just start.
For your last demonstration, it's very, very impressive technology. But did I understand it correctly that it's a push mode? So if I want to translate into Chinese or Japanese, or do I have to generate those myself? Or can I contribute?
So it basically pre-populates it with machine translation already, and then you can modify that translation if you want, or you can leave it as is with MT. Was that the question?
No. Do I have to create all the translations myself?
So
allowing me to translate a YouTube I like into my own language, to add comments to my own
language. So I'm not sure exactly about this, but right now, you choose the language that you want to translate, and it's gonna you translate into that language. But I think there's something more in the pipeline, in the lines of what you were saying, yeah.
Is it open to other people? So I upload a video and I upload a video in English, I get the captions, I translate in Spanish. Can someone else come to my video and do the translation from the English into Chinese?
So this is really completely new, so I don't know all the details. This is like totally fresh. So I'll get back to you on that one, definitely.
Yeah, one more question.
It's just about the user-generated content in terms of Google+. So it's a stream that's not unlike Twitter, I suppose, where you're pushing out your information. And the way Twitter have gone, as we saw yesterday, that they're trialing this machine translation of the tweets. Is that something that Google might do for multilingual messages that are pushed out through Google+? Not like for translating the platform, but for translating the user-generated content.
I don't know. Maybe.
That's it. Maybe we're doing it and you're not going to tell us. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Right. Any more secrets? Questions? Well, then, Jana, thank you very much for hanging in there for 2 days.